12 o'clock local time, 12 till 1. We're 2 hours behind the UK here, 3 hours behind Europe. And so you can figure that out. As we have the green flag and the pit lane is now open, so the cars can head out onto the circuit. That's Nelson Piquet Jr. we're looking at there. And that's not Nelson Piquet Jr. in the Dragon Racing garage, I think we are there, but it's a perfect, this is the best paddock, isn't it, in the world. We're 12 seconds from our commentary position to the beach.
We really are. I thought you were joking on Twitter the other day. The paddock actually does go onto the beach if you so wish. There's no fence there. You can just go out so between sessions and sit on the beach if you weren't hard at work in pit lane.
Maybe even during sessions. Are you all right? Have you got this covered?
I've got it covered. Okay. I'll do this one. You do qualifying.
Okay. So, and it's great to see the grandstand starting to pack as well. It's all of it in one day, these Formula E events, so the race will be today as well at 4 o'clock local time. So don't watch qualifying and then think, oh, well, can't wait for the race tomorrow. It's all in one day, and it gives the fans at the track an awful lot to watch. It gives us an awful lot to commentate on, and it gives the drivers and teams an awful lot of work to do in such a short space of time. There is Jerome D'Ambrosio in the Dragon car, the black and silver machine, and they have been really impressive since they joined the championship. Well, they joined the championship early, but then didn't really get their act together for a while, and then we're always playing catch-up and have now caught up and in some cases overtaken a lot of teams.
Yeah, absolutely. In China they were playing catch-up. The test at Donington, absolutely playing catch-up. Didn't look that special in China, and they show up in Malaysia and they were right on the pace there. Very, very impressive to catch up, especially when you're working against teams of this caliber. That was something that surprised me and also impressed me. Some strong engineering there and a strong driver lineup too. So it shows what hard work does.
This is Matty Brabham, who we're not going to be seeing too much of in his Andretti car because he's only got one after he drove over a bolt that had come up from one of the chicanes, and it filleted was the phrase that Michael Andretti used. I thought it was quite apt. Filleted the bottom and even cut into the tub. And it was so it was quite a dramatic incident. So they've got a second tub and they're working on fixing that car. So he's going to have a limited run in this free practice session.
Yeah, a very expensive first session there for the Andretti cars. Both cars broke floors. Basically, the bolts hold the curbs down at these chicanes. One of the bolts unwound and basically filleted the floor and the tub on Brabham's car and the floor on Jean-Eric Vergne's car. So Brabham has a tub that's being built right now for the race, but as we've discussed with this one-day format, if you have any kind of problem in one of these sessions, it's very difficult to get the car back together in time for the race or for qualifying.
So for a little bit of clarification, a little bit of reference, a 1 minute 16.696 was the quickest time that we saw in the first free practice session. That was Nico Prost. So the mid-16s are the quickest times we've seen so far. Sam Bird there in that purple and silver Virgin car has just done a 1 minute 17.2. So I think by the end of this session we might be getting into the 15s potentially as the track continues to clean, the drivers get more confident with the circuit as well, and setups here are going to be quite interesting because there's some quick corners here.
Yeah, you know, we talked about the quick corners, turn 13, quick and very, very bumpy too. I wouldn't be surprised if Sam went straight out there in qualifying trim, full 200 kilowatts. And laid that lap down. I'm not sure I'd have done that straight away because of the dust on the track, and as the session goes on the track will continue to clean up, and as soon as the car stops running the wind's going to blow the sand back onto the track again. So the guys in qualifying who are in that last group will definitely have an advantage today. We've talked about it every round, but they will have an advantage.
Absolutely. So there is Oriol Serbia making his way around 13. He's half a second down at the moment on Sam Bird's time.
Look how fast that part of the track is compared to the other Formula E tracks we've been at so far. That is really, really quick. And now you're braking here for turns 17 and 18. It's a lot tighter. And then coming into this last corner, which is very easy to lock the rears on the first part and miss the apex with the second part. And that wall there on the exit of the last corner. In fact, Lucas de Grassi's got a suspension problem coming into pit lane.
Okay.
The car's actually jacked up on one wheel at the rear. Yeah, very easy to make a mistake at that last corner. That wall's just inviting you. Here we see him come down to that first chicane. Been an incident there this morning with Michele Ceruti. But yeah, it's a lot of guys shortcutted that first chicane this morning.
There is Antonio Felix da Costa. He and the Amlin Aguri team struggling just a little bit, and it's a shame to see, really, because the Amlin Aguri, well, the Aguri squad anyway, are very, very strong and have huge success in Formula One, but here they haven't quite got it all together at the moment. There's a yellow flag out there on the circuit as Jean-Eric Vergne, we go on board with, comes around the hairpin at turns 8 and 9, and we're going to get a look at his telemetry now here on the right-hand side. So you can see he's running at just under 150 kilowatts. The maximum he can use in the race is 150.
He's still lifting there, turn 13. The guys were having a discussion about who's gone flat through 13, and there was no posturing. All of them admitted to not being flat through so far. Here he comes up for turn 17 here, the chicane.
And the red flag is out.
Red flag, boxing lap.
I wonder if that had anything to do with the Grassi's incident there, with the car coming in on...
Debris on circuit, debris.
There's a debris. That looked like a Venturi debris to me. That's team radio that you were hearing there from Jean-Eric Vergne as he was told to come back into the pits. Looked to me like Venturi debris.
I'd agree with that, yeah. Look how tight that pit lane entry is.
Or is it Virgin? Well, we need Miss Marple here, don't we? But we've got some debris at the final corner. And so the red flag is out so they can recover that. So the cars will be... so the cars are in the pits, it's just the debris that's out there. So there is Lucas di Grassi, who you saw limping in, but it's not a...
He's already swapped cars, hasn't he?
Yeah. Okay, so there's a mystery to be found. That's one for Nicky Shields to investigate. As to the red flag will just be so they can get the debris off the circuit, because it is quite, as on all street circuits, it's quite restricted access here. Oh, it's Team China, there we go. So it's the rear wing of, I think that's Antonio Garcia, yeah.
Yeah. He's having quite a baptism of fire here. I can't think of two more different cars than the GT2 Corvette with that big rumbling V8 up front, maybe the loudest racing car around, and the Formula E car. He's definitely having to adapt to a much different view and a much different feel this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And here is the circuit at Punta Del Este. It really is stunning, isn't it? The beach continues there up on the right-hand side. Apparently, about half an hour north of here, some of the best beaches in Uruguay. This isn't a great one, apparently, but it seems fine to me.
Remind me why I came in yesterday and I'm going home tonight.
Because you're a damn fool and you need to get back to snowy Scotland.
Yeah, I'm stopping in Miami first. We've got a Sebring test this week.
That'll be all right.
I've got it, yeah. But yeah, this does look particularly enticing.
So there's Nelson Piquet Jr. in the sister Team China car, currently second quickest, a 1 minute 17.458. And so the session will restart in a minute's time.
As you were pointing out earlier, the difference between the Team China cars, the yellow mirrors, the luminous yellow mirrors on the PK car, sometimes it's very difficult to tell from car to car. There we've got Sam Bird. He's got the luminous yellow streaks on what would be the airbox there.
So the qualifying draw. Okay, just we had a little bit of Sam Bird's team radio there, but hello Sam, you all right? We've had the qualifying draw made, so the first group will be Karun Chandok, Jarno Trulli, Nick Heidfeld, Jean-Eric Vergne and Daniel App. So they will be the drivers who will be going out in the first group. The second group will then be Nico Prost, Sebastian Buemi, Matty Brabham, Salvador Duran and Antonio Garcia. The third group will be Sam Bird, Jerome D'Ambrosio, Bruno Senna, Antonio Felix da Costa and Nelson Piquet. And the final group will be Jaime Alguersuari, Oriol Serbia, Lucas di Grassi, Michela Cerruti and Stefan Sarazan. So that's an interesting group draw. But to see Nico Prost out only in the second group means that three in a row for him might be tough.
3 in a row is going to be tough for Prost in the second group there. Alguersuari is looking good there, I would say, in the fourth group, along with Serbia, di Grassi. Those guys have been very, very quick.
So the way qualifying works to avoid too much traffic on the circuit with people on quick laps and people on slow laps is we're split into 4 groups. They all have 10 minutes with 5 cars on the track, and you can do as many laps as you want, but realistically they're only going to get 1 lap at full power, maybe 2. And so that's how the groups will work. So obviously if you're last out in the last group, the track will in theory be less sandy and have more grip on it, and enabling you to go faster. But qualifying has been quite a lottery this season, hasn't it? Because one mistake, as is always the case on street circuits, and you know your session's ruined.
Yeah, these the Formula E car with this power for 1, maybe 2 laps. It reminds me of the days of qualifying tyres or qualifying engines. You've got to do it. You've got to lay down that lap, or it's all over. And we've seen a guy like Sebastian Buemi, unbelievably fast in practices and stuff. He hasn't got it together for qualifying yet, and then Prost has just 2 pole positions. Nobody saw that coming. He's just nailed qualifying both times. So. It will be difficult for him today, though. As you said, the track's going to get continually faster as it cleans up throughout these sessions.
So before that red flag came out, Jarno Trulli was motoring. He'd set the fastest middle sector of anyone and was looking set to go into the 1:16. So, but then he had to slow down when the red flag came out. We need to also find out what happened to Lucas Di Grassi and exactly what the problem was with him, whether he and Antonio Garcia came together or whether it was a separate incident. That's something for Nicky to investigate as we watch Sebastian Buemi out there on the circuit.
And Buemi had a tough time this morning. Actually, I've just seen, I think it was Senna going side by side through that fast chicane. That should be interesting. But yeah, Buemi had traffic every time this morning. And you can see these cars running so slowly. They don't want to go offline because the track's so dirty. But the closing speed between the difference between a car that's just doing a lap to get ready for a qualifying lap and a car on a qualifying lap, the closing speeds are massive. So there needs to be a lot of discipline out there, and we're not seeing much of it, to be honest.
Sebastian Buemi flashes through in that blue and yellow e.dams car, him and Nico Prost teammates in that as he comes through 13, which is not quite flat at the moment.
Don't know if it will be.
Okay.
It'll be a brave one that takes it flat. That next chicane, they're very, very quick. They're not using all the road on exit, but they're certainly using a lot of the curb. Maybe that's where this problem is coming in with the tubs on the Andretti cars.
And this is the right left at turns 17 and 18. Then we come into turn 19, the final corner. The pit lane entry is there on the right-hand side. 2.8 kilometers long, this circuit. And Sebastian Buemi comes across the line. It's not going to be mega fast. It's a 1:19.451, so he remains in 6th place. And Lucas Di Grassi jumps up into 2nd position in that red, green and yellow. Oh, and there's a spin for Stefan Sarazan. And that's just coming through 17 and 18, isn't it? No, it's the other chicane at 10 and 11. So there he is. But he's got going again.
That'll get his attention.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we'll find out what happened there as Karun Chanduk is back into the pit. So the quickest time we've had so far is a 17.2 from Sam Bird, but we have seen a 16.6 from Nico Prost in the first practice session. Karun Chanduk chatting with his engineers, and a moment there for Salvador Duran, a newcomer to Formula E this weekend. Or was it Felix da Costa? It's Antonio Felix da Costa then, who's gone straight on down at that chicane. And out onto the start-finish straight again. Here's the replay of Sarazan, already facing the wrong way.
Just looped it there out of turn 9.
Swings it back around nicely there.
Yeah, very good. That's his rally driving experience coming in there.
And
So,
then,
see, this is what I'm talking about.
oh, goodness me.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on there.
Wow.
Yeah, a bit of...
And then it's interesting to see the rears lock up there as well and leave those 2 black marks.
Yeah. I'm surprised there wasn't more fist waving on that one. We've seen quite a bit of that this morning.
That was Da Costa in the Amniguri car, trying to get his way past, I think it was Joan D'Ambrosio in the Dragon machine, as we now see Stefan Sarazan out on the circuit. There's the order on the left-hand side. Bird, Di Grassi, Piquet Jr. out. This is just free practice. We've got 16 minutes to go. Then there's an hour break before qualifying gets underway.
How bumpy it is through there. And then coming into 13 now. This is one big bump right in the middle. Oh, yeah. We've seen some proper slides through there this morning.
Yeah, and Sarazan is quick. Look at that. 0.6 of a second up at the moment. Jaime Alguersuari's just gone quickest of anyone for the Virgin team, a 1:16.674. That's the quickest lap time I think we've seen all weekend, but Sarazan might be improving on that. D'Ambrosio does a 17 dead. Here comes Sarazan now through the left-hander, the final corner.
Tidy through there, very tidy.
Out onto the start-finish straight. Will this put him up to the top of the order? Across the line he comes. Yes, it does. A 1:16.548 for Stefan Sarazan. Then it's Alguersuari, D'Ambrosio, Bird, and Antonio Felix da Costa. That was the team radio from Stefan Sarazan.
Fred Vasseur there on the left-hand side from Spark.
Big lock up for Nico Prost.
Yeah, see that's where the experience comes in. Okay, you've blown the chicane, give it up rather than trying to rescue the corner. See, here we go. There's Sam held up the car there, and that's the problem. There needs to be more discipline about it, unfortunately, and there's going to be a lot of frustrated drivers out there. I mean, everybody's going to get held up at some point, but you definitely don't want it, and certainly qualifying.
Lucas de Grassi's just gone quickest of anyone, a 1 minute 16 dead.
Big jump.
1 minute 16.075. Half a second quicker than Stefan Sarazan in second place. So the times just continue to tumble. And this is Jean-Eric Verne. And where is he at the moment? 10th. And he's on 22.9 in the first sector. So he's not on the pace at all on this lap. He's not pushing hard.
It's just as well because there's a roadblock ahead of him with two cars running side by side.
That's one of the Amlin cars. Sorry, one of the e.dams cars. And the Team China car chasing him. As Verne comes up towards the final sequence of corners.
You know, we talked about the track cleaning up, but also the engineers are getting the setup a bit closer to where they need to be. The drivers are starting to really understand the track, get into that flow, get into that rhythm, and then we see the lap times tumble because of it.
So Jean-Eric Verne, after cruising around on that lap, comes into the pits. And there is Michael Andretti in the background, Juanette in the foreground, and there's Nick Heidfeld in the Venturi garage. The red flag has come out again. So the session has been stopped for the time being.
No indication of what's going on.
No.
Why it's...
Hopefully we'll find out. We did see in the first practice, Michaela Cerruti had a spin that brought out the red flag. But just as the red flag came out, she got herself going again. So it was almost unnecessary in the end. But exactly what this red flag is for, we'll have to wait and see. But there's the standings at the moment at the bottom of the screen. Lucas de Grassi, 1 minute 16.075. Half a second clear of Stefan Sarazan, with Alguersuari behind. Jerome D'Ambrosio in fourth. Then we've got Daniel Abt and Jean-Eric Verne completing the top 10. Nico Prost only down in 13th at the moment. He obviously hasn't done a quick lap. Or a qualifying simulation lap, I should say, where they turn it up to 200. Doesn't have quite the same ring as turn it up to 11, does it? But turn it up to 200 and get qualifying.
I'm sure it feels plenty quick after 150.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So there we can see the Atlantic Ocean and the coastline here in Uruguay. And we've only got to hop across the Rio de la Plata for the next race in Buenos Aires in a month or so's time, around the Puerto Madero district of the city, in the sort of eastern coast of Buenos Aires.
So the cars haven't got to go far, but we've got to be a bit of travel in between.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, Nikki Shields is staying out here the whole time, so
she's smart.
Yeah, exactly. But she hasn't got to go to Sebring, so
no. You know, Sebring is a destination.
Yeah, exactly. So there you can see the beach, the Playa Brava.
So who's not in? Garcia's not in yet. Bohemian Prost.
Yeah.
Sarazan, Jerome D'Ambrosio. They haven't come in yet.
Yeah. So D'Ambrosio's just come into the pits.
Right.
So is Buemi now. Session will restart in a minute and a half's time.
So whatever it was, it's clearly not a big incident.
And Nico Prost is the last man to have not returned to the pits.
And he's in now.
And he's in now. So everyone's back in the pits. So the red flag came out, presumably. Okay. So we think the red flag might have been caused by that the yellow curb in the middle of turn 10 and 11 chicane. Maybe we think that one of those came loose and has been removed potentially, but curbs are always a tricky thing to produce on street circuits, and there's always going to be issues.
I've seen them screwed down as they are here. I've seen them formed out of different, concrete or asphalt, all those different types of stuff, and there's always an issue with them. With the curbs coming up, especially with the heavier cars. I'm surprised that a single seater is causing that issue. I know they're a bit heavier with the battery packs and everything, but the downforce isn't that big. So I'm surprised they're having these issues with the curbs. Maybe a bit of arrow light or something to hold the bolts. It's easy for me to say sitting here.
So the session will resume in about 20 seconds time. There's the little island off the coast of Punta Del Este. and it really is a stunning place for the race. And so far, Lucas de Grassi is the quickest man that we have seen. Half a second quicker than Stefan Starazam.
Green flag again.
And here is Nico Prost, sitting in his car.
En balance, c'est pas trop mal, mais en fait, là, je roule même avec la régène. Je crois que je suis à 52% au dash. On fait que bloquer les avants toujours, quoi. On bloque les avants, C'est vraiment le gros problème.
Well, Jack.
He said,
je sais pas.
He said, I don't know.
Pourquoi ça bloque? Dès que tu mets un peu trop de pression de frein, tu bloques. Tu peux pas mettre de pression de frein.
C'est un peu mieux. C'est un peu mieux.
Well, when he said je ne sais pas, I was away. I knew what was going on.
You got that. Here we go.
Okay, so here's the problem with the curb up at turn 10, was that one had come loose and then got flicked up in the air.
Costa hit that. You don't want that hitting your head. So yeah, look at the bolt hanging out of it too.
Yeah.
See it there?
Yeah.
On the left-hand side of the screen. That needs to be screwed down a little harder or something. Not a good situation that at all.
Okay, so we got to the bottom of why the red flag came out, but the track is now green. We haven't got that many drivers going out there with just less than 9 minutes to go.
Yeah, you know, they've all got a list of everything they want to get through in these sessions, and with red flags and traffic and stuff, you're sitting here 8 minutes to go and you've not done what you set out to do, and qualifying's next. And so that, you know, there's a lot of stress, I'm sure, in pit lane right now. People wondering, you know, what the answer is to the questions they're asking.
So Karun Chandok comes through the final corner. It looks as though he backed off to perhaps go for a flyer this time around. Across the line he comes and heads down towards the first corner in his Mahindra car. On the brakes, a little bit of a squeal and a little bit of a straight on.
That was one point one of the drivers made to me this morning, was when they do run at 200 kilowatts, they don't know where to brake. It's such a difference in power. They're coming to the corner so much quicker. They don't know where that braking zone is, and obviously the brake balance is quite inconsistent. So they're facing some challenges, these guys.
Absolutely, and there's the view down on the circuit, making its way along the coast and back up.
It's got a bit of the surfer's paradise feel about it, hasn't it?
Yeah, I've never been, but I'm sure it has.
Oh, it's a great place.
Really,
what a place!
I'd happily go. Don't get me wrong. But
one of the tracks I really missed when they pulled it from the schedule. Yeah, stunning place. Great people, great track.
So through the final corner here comes one of the Mahindra cars. I presume it's going to be Bruno Senna, because otherwise that would have been quite a quick lap from Karun Chandok. Yes, it is Bruno Senna. You can just about make out the yellow on the helmet. Down towards the first chicane then, into the right and left, just brushing that pit exit wall, and then down towards the second chicane through those S's that are quite tricky and narrow. It's almost like the run-up Beau Rivage at Monaco, then through the next chicane and then down towards this hairpin that's more sort of two apices than one corner.
This is a bit when you can carry a load of speed in that first part and try and continue that momentum through the second while still getting a good exit. This is the fast part of the track coming up. The chicane here is pretty quick, leading on to the sort of 12-13 section.
And then here we go, it's that left-hander at 12 and then this right-hander at 13 that is proper quick.
Look at it stepping out there even before the bump.
And then they disappear behind the buildings and into the final couple of corners. Great to see it from above there, wasn't it? Really got to get a good perspective of where the circuit is, and I haven't even looked at his lap time. I've been so entranced by the helicopter shot.
Yeah, it's not great. He's a couple of seconds off there, so I presume he's still on the 150 or below setting.
Jaime Alguersuari is the man to watch, though. He's done purple in first and second sectors, so he could be our first man to jump into the 1 minute 15s before too long. Across the line comes Bruno Senna, 3.5 seconds down. But Jaime Alguersuari in the Virgin Racing car is coming into the final corner now. Here he is in the silver and purple machine. Across the line he comes. And it's a 1 minute 15.930.
I prefer the other one. The front grip is too weak.
He prefers the other car.
I pushed a little bit more in sector 2. Sector 1 I had traffic. But front is...
What's pole going to be?
Yeah.
If he's got problems and he's still laying those type of laps down.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Difference is very noticeable. That was not good.
okay, well, it looked good to us, Jaime, but a 15.9. So he's saying then he prefers the other car, and that's Antonio Garcia. And has he done the same thing again at the same corner?
He's going to run out of rear wings at this rate.
It's the same corner.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it might be slightly earlier actually.
It's right at the end of the lap, isn't it?
Here he goes. Oh, up the inside. Too much speed. Hello.
I mean, that again, the Andretti car just kind of cruising there and causing that issue, pushing him offline.
It's Jean-Eric Verne, I think, by the looks of things. But yeah, so that's 2 rear wings done for Antonio Garcia.
Quick trip to the spares truck.
Yeah.
4 minutes left, and there'll be a yellow flag for the rear wing line somewhere on track, I would think. So, unless they have to go down or take another red flag to go pick up that wing.
Potentially.
Karun getting ready here. It looks like there's some hurry, so they might be getting ready. The car's sitting still on track, isn't it? He's damaged the left rear suspension too.
Yeah. You can see the car was crabbing a little bit. It looks as though he hasn't quite got enough power to get back to the pit lane.
So the situation we have here is all these drivers waiting to do a qualifying sim right at the end of the session are probably not going to get it because they're going to have to go down for a red flag.
And how difficult is it when, if you haven't had your chance to go at 200 kilowatts, you've only been, pootling around?
So you have time to do another one, but the yellow flag is still there. You can do 2 flying laps.
Okay, so that's interesting. He probably won't get to do 2 flying laps because of the yellow flag, but Venturi think that they can get 2 qualifying laps out of the car at 200 kilowatts.
Good information to know. If it was me right now, I'd be going fast on every section apart from that last bit, because then at least you've got some idea where that limit is. So the first time you go into turn 1 there, you know where you are. You've seen a lot of drivers outbraking themselves. It'll give you some idea on at least a part of the track, and you're really only missing out probably 2 corners.
Yeah,
that's certainly better than having no idea at all, which right now is probably the situation a lot of the people are in.
So just less than 3 minutes to go. Jaime Alguersuari, the quickest man out there, a 15.9. Salvador Duran is out there on the circuit down in 18th place. Jarno Trulli has only managed 6 laps in this session, so that's an interesting one. Matty Brabham has done 8 laps, but he's only had access to 1 car. Trulli's still out there lapping at the moment.
Karun Chandok, P19. I mean, clearly he's getting ready to do was ready to do a qualifying sim, but it's not a good session. They must have some issues there, I would think.
So they've got rid of Antonio Garcia's car, which is great news. It means we might have some flying laps for the last couple of minutes. This is Daniel Abt, who's in 9th place at the moment in the Abt car, down towards the second chicane. Taking the curves, and his first sector time is very slow. He's not at full power then, Daniel Abt. He's about 1.5 seconds off the pace in that first sector. So let's try and pick out someone who is looking quick. But I suppose the yellow flag's only just gone in at that final corner, so it's all about being in the right place at the right time to a certain extent.
Yeah, and you're seeing a lot of people when they go offline, as we saw there a minute ago with the Team China car, crashing when they go offline. What's that going to mean for the race? When you're trying to pass the first lap, you're side by side and stuff like that. I think it's going to be very, very tricky today, and very, very easy to make a mistake.
Down into the right-hander comes Daniel Abt. Matty Brabham was saying it's almost like a dry line out there. You've got the sand, and then you drive the racing line, and that clears the sand off the racing line, and it's almost like when a wet race you get a dry line. Here comes Daniel Abt across the line, but Sebastian Buemi is the man. A 21.5 in sector 1 for the e.dams driver, the man who has promised so much and ultimately delivered so little. There he is, flashing through shot now, coming up to turn 13 through the right-hander. He's got a Mahindra car up in front of him, but he's pushing very, very hard. What's his middle sector time, Sebastian Buemi? Well, it's not great actually, at 26.5. Maybe he got held up behind that Dragon car.
Traffic is a problem. You can see why they've gone for this 4-group system.
Absolutely, especially in qualifying mode when it's even more dramatic. Oh, big lock-up on the front left for Buemi. Gets the nose in the end.
Gets come off the power there. Do you hear him just coming off the power a couple of times on the exit?
Across the line he comes, and he goes fourth quickest, 0.6 of a second down.
5 seconds to go here.
Okay, so that was just a little bit of feedback for Buemi, giving him his sector split times. So the checkered flag is out, so all these people coming across the line now, that's their session over. And it's Nico Prost has just gone fourth quickest across the line. We're watching Antonio Felix da Costa. Now he's taken the checkered flag. This is on board, I think, with Nico Prost, who's just jumped up into fourth position.
Yeah, he's past the checkered.
Yep. So who's still out there who could do something fun? A pretty reasonable, I was going to say Garcia, but because his first two times were quite good, but he's come to a halt, hasn't he?
Truly to P12 there.
Yep, and there's Alain Prost watching on.
Serbia did a heat improvement? No.
So that looks like it's the conclusion of the session. There's no one really out there. Buemi's out there, but he's taken the checkered flag. And there is Salvador Duran climbing out of his car. And so Karun Chandok finishes the session slowest, 7 seconds slower than Jaime Alguersuari, but he's only done 7 laps, so it's interesting from Karun.
Something going on there, I would say.
Because we spoke to him before and he didn't seem to have any concerns after that first free practice session. So
well, no more than a normal driver, you know, just the usual stuff really, I would say. Sam Bird, P10. Not great, especially without Alguersuari P1 there at 15.9. 1.3 seconds off, but you just never know what power levels, what plan each car was on.
How does it affect your sort of morale, I suppose, as a racing driver? Because everyone goes, oh, he's quickest in practice. Drivers will always say, well, it doesn't matter because we don't know what everyone's doing, blah, blah, blah. But if you're Karun and you come in slowest of anyone, even if you had a problem, you couldn't get it, does it still affect you or not?
But that's the trick, isn't it? You know, most sports are about the mental aspect when you get to a certain level, and you know, if you're Karun right now, you shouldn't be too downhearted if you know what the issue is. If you don't, you've got to figure it out. You know, if you're Alguersuari, keep your expectations in check. Don't get too excited about, oh yeah, we're P1 now, we're going to be sticking on the pole. You've just got to go out and repeat in qualifying when it matters. That's the thing. No matter what happened in the session before or the race before, you've got to go out and get the job done. And ultimately, you can only do your best, right? But it's trying to kind of stabilise that performance at a certain level, the highest possible level. Here we go, see the guys practicing their starts here.
This is Jarno Trulli and Jean-Eric Verne.
Jean-Eric Verne's getting a bit of a baptism of fire because he hasn't started one of these cars. I hadn't driven one up until today, so luckily he's had a couple of chances to have a replay at the start, because the Formula 1 car's got that clever clutch system and everything that certainly helps you get it off the line, and you know, the Formula E car's quite a bit different.
So here's a look at the results after the final practice session ahead of the third round of the Formula E Championship. Jaime Alguersuari, the quickest man, a 1 minute 15.930, just quicker than Lucas de Grassi in the apt car. Venturi of Saravdan in third place, Prost and Buemi in fourth and fifth. Nelson Piquet Jr. There in sixth place. Antonio Felix da Costa, seventh place for him, only 0.8 of a second down on Jaime Alguersuari. That's pretty good for the Amlin Aguri team as they try and make their way up the order. Sam Bird completing the top 10. Then we've got Jarno Trulli down there in 12th, Jean-Eric Verne in 14th place, Andretti in 14th and 19th, but Matthew Brabham only had one car to play with as the other one is being repaired. Bruno Senna 15th and Karun Chandok in 20th place. So that's interesting that Mahindra aren't running particularly strongly, but it's all about qualifying in an hour or so's time. So we can hear from the quickest man out there, Jaime Alguersuari, 1 minute 15.930. He's with Nicky Shields.
Jaime Alguersuari, fastest lap in practice. Could things be looking up for you in the third round?
Well, I would say it's looking better because we had a lot of issues since now, and last night we finished very late, and we are really, you know, finding a lot of the things that we didn't find during testing at the racing, and it's kind of been default error at the moment. But we are getting there, step by step. Still a lot of work to do because I'm still not happy with one of my cars. But I think we are getting there. We will for sure improve a lot during the season. I think we're not, at the moment in this race, I think we're not at the maximum level, but we have improved a lot since the beginning. So we will keep on seeing what we can do, to be honest.
So what have you started to understand since testing at Donington?
Well, it's just a question of running, because during testing we had a lot of issues, so we never managed to finish a race. And when we went to China, we actually finished our first race, and we got all the data, all the information, what it went wrong, what it went better, and we still have some differences between one car and the other, but we are definitely getting a much better understanding. I always say that when you have a problem, you need to know why you have it. When you're slow, you need to know why you're slow. When you're fast, you need to know why you're fast. So it's coming all the way through together, but it's still a long way to go. So it's still a lot to improve.
Thanks very much.
Jarno Trulli looking animated, 12th place for him. And he did a really good job in wherever we were last, Malaysia. Malaysia in Putrajaya to start right up the front of the order. And you can never tell with Jarno when he's got his helmet on whether all his gesticulation is this is great or this is terrible.
Yeah, he as he's done throughout his whole career, one of the best qualifiers I've ever seen. And he just seems to pull these lap times out from anywhere. But in the race, we had the same kind of thing going on. The old the E-train behind him. And one thing I learned, I think, from watching in Malaysia, that a qualifying car and a race car are two very, very different things. And a car that was good in one lap was not necessarily good over that whole run.
So Jaime Alguersuari finishes quickest in second free practice. We've got qualifying, which will start in only 55 minutes time for the different groups. And it's going to be a quick turnaround. If they want to make any changes, they're going to have to get on with it as quickly as possible. There is Jean-Eric Vergne, who was after some healthy fruit earlier. Here's the championship standings then. Lucas de Grassi, 3 points clear of Sam Bird. Frank Montani, Nico Prost, Jerome D'Ambrosio and Karun Chandok all on 18 points. And Sebastian Buemi there in 6th place. He's one man that really needs to start getting some points on the board, as do the likes of Nick Heidfeld down there, Bruno Senna in 19th place. So it's going to be a very, very interesting afternoon of racing, because once this afternoon is over, we've completed a third of the season. There's only 6 rounds to go after this race in Uruguay. That's the road that takes us up the peninsula.
That statistic shocked me this morning. Third of the season gone after this one. I mean, it's a short old season, and that really punishes any mistake you make. But if you've got the pace, you've got a chance of making up some points.
So Jaime Alguersuari finishes this session quickest. He will be going out in the final group in qualifying as well, so that will give him an advantage and potentially the favourite for pole position. But let's have a little look back at that free practice session here in Punta del Este. So it was a very entertaining free practice session. Sebastian Buemi having a little chat with his engineers before he headed out onto the circuit. And then once the cars finally got out, it was a very quick and tricky 2.8 kilometers that they were faced with.